my name is Trinitee Dotson.
Hi, my name is Mr. Wallace. I teach 9th grade AP Human Geography and 9th grade Pre-AP World Geography. I'm here to talk about the importance of healthy study habits.
My name is Ebenezer. My name is Brashay Willis.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Moore. I'm in the 8th grade.
And I'm Mr. Weeble.
And I'm Miss Thomas. And I will be interviewing her over upcoming benchmarks. What are some studying tips you would give students over their upcoming benchmarks?
I think one studying habit is to make sure that you are going over your focus notes that you should have been taking in class. Also, if there's anything that's confusing you, that you should ask your teacher before benchmarks, so that you can get a better understanding of them. And then also make sure that if there's anything that you could do research on to do better on any question, then you should do that as well, so that you'll be best prepared for the benchmarks.
Thank you.
Well, your teachers have provided you with notes. I suggest you go over those. YouTube is a big help. Khan Academy is a big help. One thing I will say is what I see with my students is we don't go with our first mind. You know more than you think, so once you read the question and you know for sure, hey, I think this is it, then don't go back and change it, because most times it was the right answer to begin with. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you. So what are some studying habits that you use to prepare for our benchmarks?
Some studying habits that I use personally for my benchmarks, I'll have 2 separate journals and I'll read through my notes and I'll rewrite them. So that kind of helps me refresh and retain my information. And the second thing that I will do is make a Quizlet. So as I'm typing, I can look at the questions and the answers, and then later on, I'll go through and do flashcards.
What are some worries you have about this semester's benchmarks?
Honestly, my only worry is that that after all the studying I worry too much that I start forgetting stuff that I'm learning all this semester.
Okay, what about you?
I'd probably be second guessing myself on some of the answers. Like I'll fill out the right answer and then I'll get confused and pick a different answer.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. It's very nice to meet you. Now, our first question for you is, how important do you think it is for students to study for all of their tests?
I think it's important to prioritize studying. It may not be beneficial for all students. I know this is like a popular opinion, but it may not be beneficial for all students to study for all tests. You only have a certain amount of time in a day, especially when you take into account if you're doing extracurriculars or if you have extra responsibilities at home. Those are things that you have to take into account when you're studying. So I think it's important to take the classes that you do the best in, and to kind of prioritize your time to where you spend more of your time studying for tests that you are weak in, or concepts that you're weak in. So this would essentially look like targeted, focused studying. So not going home and looking at your notebook, but actually having a concept in science that you want to study or practice in that night. And let's say it's 15 minutes or so. After that 15-20 minutes is over with, you move on to another concept in social studies that you're weak in, that you want to study. So I think it has more to do with being more intentional and prioritizing your study time.
Now, our next question is, how long do you think students should study for? Is there a certain amount of time, or do they just study?
In college, I believe, they tell us that for every class hour we spend in class, we should spend anywhere from 2 to 4 hours studying at home. So that what that looks like is, if you have 1 hour of class on Monday, you would need to spend 2 to 4 hours of at home time devoting to that particular class. Now, for middle school and high school, this isn't necessarily feasible. So what I would say, a good rule of thumb is to take every hour of class that you have and maybe spend 30 minutes to an hour every night studying for a class. And once again, that's keeping in mind you're going to prioritize classes that you are weakest in, or classes that you have the most gaps in.
All right, thank you very much. Now, for our next question, what do you feel are some tips students should use when they're studying to maximize the amount of information that they retain?
What I've been doing for my graduate degree, I just graduated this week, so.
Oh, congratulations.
But what I've been doing to help me write papers and study for exams or assessments is it's called the Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique is essentially you set a timer on your phone of about 25 minutes. And in that 25 minutes, you spend doing focused, intentional work. Like there's no phone, there's no getting up from your seat to go and get a drink or a glass of milk. You are studying, you're typing that essay, you're working on that particular aspect of your homework assignment for 25 minutes. Then from there, you take a minute or a 5-minute break, and then you start another Pomodoro session. And so splitting up your time to where you have focused practice, not multitasking, because what we find often is that students say that they're good at multitasking, but when they multitask, they don't really retain the information that they're responsible for knowing. So focused, intentional studying with built-in breaks to allow your brain to kind of absorb, then to rest, then absorb and rest and so forth, is probably going to be the most beneficial over the long run. And if you want more information, then you can YouTube Pomodoro techniques, POMO.
Alright, so now for our last question, we would like to know if you had any tips for students to use while they're taking their test to help them deconstruct their test even more.
What I've done in the past and what I've recommended to my students in previous years, especially on the history starting exam, just start at the back of the test and work your way forward. And I've always done that with, one of my teachers told me to do that a long time ago. It's always worked for me. The test usually gets progressively harder as you go. And so if you are taking those harder questions at the beginning portion of the test, when your brain is focused and it has more energy, it's more attentive, then you're going to be more apt to get those questions correct. And then as you get test fatigue, as the test goes on, your brain starts to fatigue a little bit more. By the time your brain does fatigue, you're going to be on those questions 10, 9, 5, so forth, those easy type of questions that they're expecting you to kind of get warmed up with. So something I've always recommended to do is just to take the test backwards. Start at the last question and then kind of work your way forward.
Thank you for coming out and sharing some tips with us. We hope you have a nice day.